Hi guys, welcome back to The Forgetful Scholar, and this week we're going to chat about books, two books, a small town paranormal romance and a cozy mystery. So let's do the cozy mystery first, I think. It's 4 stars and it is Murder at the Bookstore, The Bookstore Mysteries Book 1 by Sue Minix. Why is her last name so hard for me to pronounce? Anyway, this follows Jen, who is like a 28-year-old mystery author. She had a huge first book hit and she's trying to recreate it in her second one, and we go along with her as she's fighting writer's block during a murder mystery that happens. So she loves to write in this little coffee shop called the Ravenous Reader, which coffee shop / bookstore, and I'm like, I don't love that name for a bookstore for sure. I've definitely read books where the bookstore name's cuter, but that's fine, whatever. It doesn't even matter. And she becomes friends with the owner, Althea. Now, Althea's the murder victim, which was a shame because I really liked her. But that happens in like page 30. And I will say, there's a lot of people. You get introduced to a lot of people. I think by page 37, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You get introduced to like 7, like 8 characters, 9 characters. I forgot to write 2 of them now. So like, it's a very fast-paced book. Now, when I finished the book and the mystery concluded with satisfaction. Yeah, and going back on it, you could obviously see the clues written throughout the book. Dog scratching at the carpet. Was I surprised at who the murderer was? No. But I read so many of these books. It's really rare when a red herring gets me, right? So I read so many of these books, so I wasn't surprised. And reading it, I was like, girl, use that big old brain of yours. What are you doing? Come on. Obviously, this is what's happening. But, you know, she just didn't see it, or she wasn't supposed to see it, or maybe the readers weren't supposed to see it, but still they had to make sure the clues were there for it, I guess. But man, no, 11, you do it after the 9 people in like the first 30 pages. You do get introduced to like even more people after that. So there's a lot of people in this book. Jen's personality, I really liked Jen. The author had a clear voice when they were writing her. She's very stubborn, and like she drove me a little nuts being so stubborn, but that is who her character is, so that's fine, you know. Her and her best friend since childhood, Brittany, adorable friendship, loved the banter, loved the humor. I totally got their connection. I loved it, right? And I will say with the romances, because, you know, our girl Jen's like a catch. So there's a couple guys that are sniffing around in a way. But there's one who is a homicide detective, Stan, who is her ex from high school. Now, I have no idea what is supposed to happen with them. I mean, it's cozy mystery, so, you know, we could assume. But, like, their banter or chemistry just wasn't. Like, I get what the author was going for, but, like, every time there was, like, fun banter, it was not the appropriate time. Like, at one point, her home is broken into and ransacked, right? And that's horrible, and that's really traumatizing for a lot of people. And she's literally on the floor with her knees, like hugging her knees, right? And Stan, her running buddy, her friend that's in a running club, her friend Eric, who drags her to start running because he says it'll help her writer's block, which he's right, and she's really resentful of it, which hilarious, and I get it. And his partner Lawrence, they're at the scene, you know, and taking in things, and like Stan's like joking with them about it and how like messy she normally is, like how, and I'm like, okay, I get having humor in a high stress job to like, you know, keep your mental faculties, like I get it, I do, but like doing that right in front of the victim of said crime seems really inappropriate. And like he's sort of flirty bantering with her during it, and she's obviously like, anybody in that situation would not be in the mood for that, you know what I mean? And like, she didn't really, we're in her POV the whole time, and she didn't really get angry at it. I got angry at it. I was like, bro, you know? And then at one point he drags her back to being questioned, and she had a really rough night before. I don't want to give spoilers, but she, you know, had injuries, and he still like handcuffed her for most of the time, even though she wasn't under arrest, you know? And I'm like, get a lawyer, ask for a lawyer, this is ridiculous. And they're like bantering back and forth, and I'm like, no, I am so angry for you that you're bruised and like a cracked rib or something like that, and he has like her handcuff. I'm like, that is not time for sexy banter. Like, this is not dark romance. Like, what are you doing? I was just like, no. Like, I get what the author wanted with Stan and her, but I think there could have been different times here and there, like maybe separate scenes, you know, them running into each other before the murder, or, you know, things like that, where you could have put in some fun, flirty banter in there. Because those 2 times, I was like, ew, you have to be kidding me, no. And there's her neighbor, Charlie, who is like really aggressively asking her out, like scary aggressively. And she's always says no, and he's like, you're leading me on. She's like, I'm not leading you on, I'm telling you no. And like, he's like really described like creepy. Like he grabs her, tries to like, he forces her into like weird things, right? But like at the end of the book, you know, it's almost like, I was like, wait a minute, what? It's almost like Charlie was, like the ending was written before the rest of the book, if that makes sense, right? And don't get me wrong, I did enjoy it. It's just the epilogue was weird, how Charlie was like, doop-de-doo, like almost a completely different person. I shouldn't say that. There wasn't a lot. I don't want to spoil the ending. I'm just saying, like, Charlie went from creepy, super aggressively asking her out in like really sleazy ways, and not taking her autonomy into account, to all of a sudden being like, buddy, yes sirree, you know, with no scene in between to explain that, you know what I mean? Because she's very clear. She says no, you know, like, but he's like, you're leaving me out. No, I'm not. I said no, you know, no means no. And that's what creeped me out, because like Charlie didn't take no means no for no means no. Like, it was really creepy. And then in the beginning of the book, she talks fondly of her stepfather, Gary, but then after page 20, he was an abusive monster. So I was really confused with that, you know what I mean? So it felt like, I know this is the first book and I really had fun. I did. I know, you know, but like maybe this book was more written like pantser instead of plotting, just because those are weird character anomalies that stood out when all the other characters were pretty stellar and pretty stable in their characterization, if you know what I mean. So like that kind of surprised me and jolted me out a couple times from, you know, this book. I do love the fast-paced writing style. You know, I definitely understand who Jen is, how fast she thinks. I do. I like it. I like her. I like Jen a lot. She has issues. I love that for her. I know that sounds weird, but I love when characters in books, especially main characters, aren't perfect and she has issues. And she's seeking a therapist, because great, as you should. And then there's one part where Stan's like questioning her and she's like, do I need my lawyer? And he's like, well, we're just asking questions. If you get your lawyer, what are you trying to hide? And I'm like, no, F you. No, you guys know. Absolutely not. You guys know. I said it before. I'll say it 1,000 times. If you're brought into questioning for the police, you have a right to a lawyer. I mean, obviously depending on which country you live in, but in the US, you have a right to a lawyer and it does not make you look guilty. You are protecting yourself. That's it. And if the cops are like, oh, make you look guilty, F them, because they don't know how to do their job. And they're trying to get you into a corner that might be against your best interest. Get a lawyer. If you can't afford one, they're lawyers that do pro bono work, or, you know, the state is supposed to provide you with one. Get a lawyer. You know what I mean? Doesn't make you look guilty. That's bullshit. That's manipulation. That's lies. It doesn't make you look guilty. You're protecting yourself. That always drives me nuts. And I'm sure cops do say that. So I'm telling, because they always do that in crime books and stuff. And I bet they do that in real life. I don't know. Doesn't matter. Get a lawyer. I don't care. You know what I mean? Get a lawyer. We like to believe that cops are the good guys, you know, because all the shows and stuff. But, you know, they're people. Some are good, some are bad. Get a lawyer. Okay? Get a lawyer. So, was I surprised who the killer was? No, I pretty much knew from the first act. But that's fine. Again, I read a lot of these books, so I recognize a lot of the patterns. That's why. Did I like the twists and turns and following her thought process through the red herrings? I did. Did some of her decisions make me want to bash my head against the wall? Also, yes. But that also made me not being able to but because of that, I couldn't put the book down also. Because I was like, oh my God, when is she gonna, oh my gosh, she's gonna get herself, what? She's gonna get herself killed. What's going on? You know? So there's that. I liked the ending quite a bit. The final conflict on the page, you guys know I love that because I'm bloodthirsty. On the page, really dramatic. I really did love it. And the epilogue was a little weird just with who the author threw in to do that with, but whatever. You know, the humor was fun. Again, love the bantering between the friends. The bantering between the love interests, not so much, just because it felt weirdly out of place, you know. So there we go. 4 stars. I enjoyed myself. I want to check out this author a little bit more too. She's a local, which is fun. Always want to, you know, support. So that's cool. So it's 4 stars. I liked it. All right. The contemporary paranormal romance, also sapphic. Payback's a Witch, The Witches of Thistle Grove Book 1 by Lana Harper. Now this follows Emmy and Talia, and this was 3 stars. So you guys know I love Back in the Spell. I really love this. This is 3 stars. I will say off the bat, the romance I really liked. I really liked the romance. The romance between Emmy and Talia, very sweet and healthy. It was healthy, which is nice because sometimes I try sapphic books and like, oh my gosh, this is all red flags. Like, what are you doing? No, but this one was really nice. Now in Thistle Grove, there's 4 founding families that are witches. The Harlows, the Romanovs. I'm so sorry. It is a Russian last name and I cannot pronounce it. I'm sure it sounds beautiful. The Blackmores, who were painted as pretty much the bad guys, and I forget what they're called. So there's another family. They do plant and healing magic. So the Harlows don't really have a lot of magic, or so she thinks. The Talia's family is like supposedly a descendant from Baba Yaga, and they do a lot of like death magic, like communing with the dead, seances, things like that, and a lot of other stuff, which I find very cool. The Blackmores can like change things, so like they could turn a rock into a tree or something, you know, stuff like that. So they could turn like fire into water, stuff like that, right? They're apparently pretty powerful, and they're from descendant from Morgana Le Fay from Camelot, which sure, whatever. Not that I don't think that's what the author's going for. It's just that seems kind of far-fetched since they're like, I think in Virginia or something. I don't know. Just, I don't know. And then again, forget their name. The plant family that does plant magic and healing, you know. So Emmy has been away. She hasn't returned since she left for college when she was 18. She's like in her mid-20s. She comes back because the gauntlet is supposed to happen. So it's a competition between the 3 families. It looks like it happens every other generation. And they basically become, whoever wins is like the magical mayor of the town. They're not the actual mayor of the town, but like magically speaking, right? So they kind of keep the peace between the magical families, and it looks like they get a lot of good luck because the Blackmores have won like for the last 4 or 5 times, and their business is booming to the point where it's cutting off the other family's revenue, which is super messed up. And I don't understand the Blackmore's thinking on this, because there's 4 magical families, right? And if the other 2, the Harlows are fine, probably because they don't participate, they're always the arbitrator. But the plant people and Talia's family, their businesses are going under because the Blackmores are like inching into their proprieties. You know, they're doing business, they're making business of their own where that used to be their stuff. And I'm like, what is the thought process in that? That makes no sense. You're gonna like squeeze out the other two families, and then what, you think you're gonna have all the magic? Like, it's just weird. They're just greedy for like no reason. And I think it's not that I don't like that. I think that's an interesting kind of character. And because I read the third book before the first book, because that happens when you thrift, that seems like the grandmother and mother are just greedy to be greedy, like just villains to be villains. And I'm like, all right. Emmy comes back, and man, Garth Blackmore, who is the sister in the book, the third book, or the brother of the girl in the third book. Man, the author does a good job of making him like a jerk, but like an F-boy. He's an F-boy, right? You know, he screws people over, literally. Cheats on them, all this stuff. And they put it to the point, but he never, they don't cross the line. And I don't know if it's because I read the third book and I realized how like verbally and emotionally abusive his mother and grandmother are, that I'm like, aw, and that I adore his sister Nina. From the third book, that I'm like, that maybe I give a little bit more leeway than I normally would with this character. But basically, Emmy, her best friend Lyndon, who Garth cheated on, and Talia, who Garth cheated with, want revenge, and they don't want the Blackmores to win the tournament. And Garth is competing in the tournament, right? So Lyndon's brother, who's the scion, her twin brother, agrees to like, so there's like a little conclave, a little cabal, right? And Emmy can't really help them because the arbitrator mantle is like pure magic, and it is like, she just wears it, right? The mantle is the judge of the games, what happens, what's allowed, what's not, and she can't go against that, right? But the thing is, you get a really fun magical tournament in this, which is so much fun. I really love the magical system in this world, and especially in a contemporary setting. Something about it, you know, I really enjoy it. And I really like the Harlows. Like, that was interesting because we're in Emmy's point of view the whole time. And the Harlows, she hasn't had a lot of magic, but it turns out Harlows are like the magical filter for the town. So the Blackmores and the other two families wouldn't have been able to even access the magic if it wasn't for the first Harlow that let them, you know. So stuff happens and Emmy ends up winning the tournament. It's complicated and a lot of fun, you know. So now she's the voice and the mayor. I love the ending. It was very sweet. Again, the romance, I really like the romance. I think the only reason it's 3 stars because Emmy drove me nuts. I wanted to like her so bad, and it's not that there's anything wrong with her. It's just this book is the like epitome of you can't run away from your problems, right? And Emmy was trying to run away from her problems for like 10 years, and even during this book, she's still trying to run away from her problems. And she's like, no, that's not true. Like, she's so denial about it that it kind of drove me nuts. Like, I felt like that went on a little too long, right? Because I understand, like, in your 20s, you learn this hard lesson. Most people learn this. I learned this hard lesson in my 20s, that no matter where you go, your problems are on your back, right? And you're not going to get away from them until you turn and face them. And it doesn't have to be like actually facing your issues. Just like in your head, you can look at your problems and see like where they stem from. Is this a pattern? Is this going to keep happening? Do I have to get out of this situation? Am I doing this to myself? Who's doing this to me? You know, so like acknowledging your problems is like really the first step, you know, to help yourself get out of a bad situation or something like that, right? So like the fact that she kept running from it for so long was driving me nuts. And it seems like in the first 2 quarters that she ran away from Garth because he broke her heart, which I was like, I rolled my eyes a little bit like, oh, come on, you know. that's a little lame of a reason. But finally in the third act, you get that it had more to do with her own self-worth. And I was like, oh, okay. I wish that hints of that a little earlier on, but okay, cool. You know what I mean? That made more sense to me. And Morty, who is the main love interest in the third book, is in this book. His pub, the Lucky Cauldron, was in this book. So, and he's exactly how he is in the third book. So that made me realize, and I love this, that the author had this whole town planned out from the start, the magic system, who's going to end up with who. All her books were probably already outlined from the start, and I love that. I love that attention to detail. And again, Garth is interesting because they bring him to the line, but he never crosses that line into like irredeemable monster. So I wonder if he's gonna get his own book, or maybe he already has his own book. I don't know. Like, I wonder, because I love a good redemption, but also, you know, once a cheater, always a cheater. You know what I mean? So I don't know if I would believe so. I don't know. I would definitely give it a try, right? Because it's books, fantasy, whatever. It's just in real life, I'm not, I'm very much like, oh, once a cheater, always a cheater. No. You know what I mean? No second chance, bite. But in a book, you know, I love a good redemption. So I would love to see what this author does with it. I am still enjoying this series. It's just the third one knocked my socks off, right? And this one just Emmy, man. I was like, girl, you were so smart and analytical. Turn into yourself and find out what the hell is wrong with you. Like, what is the real problem here? You know what I mean? So that, I wish she did that a little earlier on. It just took a little too long for her to get there for my taste. Just for my taste, though. It really is a cute series. I love her and Talia's romance. I like that Talia wasn't a pushover. I like that she wasn't huge red flags. I loved it. So there you go. I don't want to, but it's time for me to get back to the real world. Like, comment, and subscribe, and I'll see you later. Bye.